Welcome to War Stories, a series of videos exploring the iconic battles and conflicts that shaped medieval Europe. Lastly, let's talk about the Siege of Constantinople, which concluded on May 29, 1453 AD. The Ottoman army, newly reorganized by the Sultan, one of the first standing armies. Remember that I said that Charles Martel paid an army and sort of had a standing infantry one of the first times in history. Even here in 1453, that was still not the case. You didn't keep an army all the time because it's expensive, right? You got to feed them, you got to house them. And so what you did was you called up people as you needed them. So we're 700 years after Charles Martel, and they're still calling here these, the Turks are still one of the first standing armies in the world. They were led by Sultan Mehmed II. The Byzantines, who were led by Emperor Constantine IX, Palaiologos, old word. Constantinople, not Istanbul, had the most advanced walls in the world. Yet the siege lasted only 53 days. How did this happen? First of all, we've got gunpowder now. We've had gunpowder for a while. We actually had gunpowder and cannons back in the 100 Years' War. The Ottomans fired 5,000 rounds of cannon shot at the walls using 55,000 pounds of gunpowder. Women, children, and monks would stay up all night repairing the walls from the damage done to them the previous day. The Ottomans also dug tunnels to undermine the walls, but the defenders, aided by a brilliant German engineer, counter-tunneled, right? This is really cool. You dig a tunnel under a wall. This is what undermining something means. You mine under it so that you take away the foundation and it gets weak and it collapses down. But the Ottomans had this German engineer, and he was able to figure out where the Ottomans would need to tunnel in order to undermine the walls, and he would counter-tunnel, and they would break into the Ottoman tunnels and kill everybody inside of them before the Ottoman tunnels could reach the desired destination. This happened 4 times, and the capture of Turkish officers revealed the locations of all of the remaining tunnels and ended this strategy. But supplies began to run short. And this is probably my favorite story from this whole set of stories. So the city is running out of supplies, which is what a siege is for, right? If you can't break in, at the very least, you starve them out. 4 Genoese ships from Genoa, ran the Ottoman naval blockade and delivered relief supplies. This is like the Dread Pirate Roberts just running past this huge naval blockade that was meant to keep the only purpose of the blockade, they have one job to do: keep people from getting supplies to Constantinople. And these 4 ships from the Italian city of Genoa were like, we're merchant vessels. We do this for a living. There's money to be had if we can get past them. And they ran the blockade and delivered supplies. In the end, although the walls didn't fall, they were weakened and were breached in a couple of places. Even that probably wouldn't have been enough, but the Turks also discovered a small postern gate that allowed you could go in and out through this little gate, and it was left open accidentally, and they started pouring in from there. So now they're coming in through these breaches in the wall and through this rear gate, which it takes a while before anyone even realizes they're getting in from behind us. And at that point, it was just a numbers game. And that was a game that the Byzantines were not going to win. Constantine, the last Roman emperor of the East, is said to have died fighting alongside his men in the streets. And thus do some people wish to begin and end the Middle Ages with the fall of a Roman Empire. If you enjoyed these war stories, they're part of a larger course on ClassicalU called The Age of Light, Rethinking the Middle Ages. Head over to ClassicalU.com to check out the full course.